Welcome to Spin a Yarn Live, the Tea Time Book Club and Crafting Circle.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We started.
Okay. Can anyone hear us?
Yes?
Well,
No?
we're taking time. Can you hear us?
We don't know what's going on with the microphone.
We are professionals.
We know exactly
What's going on with YouTube now? It says, okay. Yes! They can hear us. Yay! Greetings and welcome to Spin a Yarn Live, the Tea Time Book Club and Crafting Circle. Today we're talking about summer night.
Because at the moment it's freezing in Atlanta.
It is freezing. That makes sense.
Makes total sense.
We have snow.
We do! And even though the sun is shining, it's still there. It's weird. We actually, during late January and February, we usually get, maybe not snow, but it gets very, very cold. So for it to be this cold, this early, i.e. in December, is unusual for Atlanta. So, but that shouldn't really affect our microphone.
No.
So, but...
Okay, so we are starting this again because we had reports that the first take did not have any audio. Which, I don't know if it's going to connect all the parts, which will be hilarious.
We'll see
for
what
the
happens.
future.
So let's just start again.
So we're starting over. We're talking about Summer Night.
I didn't read it.
So go ahead and post what projects you're going to be working on, either on Twitter at #YarnItAll.
He finished it.
I finished it, yay! Or on Reddit at r/SpinAYarnLive and enter our, or this episode's discussion thread, and then you can comment inside there. I finished this bookmark, which I'm going to hang up here as is.
He doesn't want to use it as a bookmark.
No. I think it would make more sense having it kind of hang up in the background so you can see the framing and all that, and it shows off that it's a crafting channel, not just a product channel.
In fairness, he did also make this contraption that he's got it put together in. So he made the whole shebang. He didn't weave, you know, the things, but
I
he wove
could.
This. We don't have a loom.
I don't think I could.
You could, but we don't have a loom. Also,
it also has some sort of weird glue in it.
Because it's spaced apart. We're getting off topic. Anyway, Paul finished the bookmark, but he's not going to use it as a bookmark.
No, I'm going to use it as decoration.
Yes.
Instead, I'm working on this thing, which will also be decoration, but will actually be cut out and framed instead of being stuck in here. I did not make this contraption, but I bought this contraption, and then I made a bunch of other contraptions based off that design.
Including a very large one.
Yes.
Which maybe will bust out at some point. But it's kind of big, I'm not sure.
We also did a lot of cleaning today, so there's dust all up in my nose.
Yep.
So let me just
You blow your nose there, baby?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess
Let me just chuck this in the trash can over there.
There's no trash can over there.
Don't make the people think there's no trash can over there. Of course there's a trash can over there. Why are you
Anyway! So I guess since the first recording didn't take, I'm working on a cable knit scarf, and the cables are white. Isn't that neat? So I'm doing a kind of sort of color blocking, which means the back looks kind of weird. There's definitely a back and a front. So I'm excited. I'm excited to do more with this. This is the first time I've done color blocking like this. The first time I ever did color blocking was actually for a baby blanket, but I gave that to the baby, so I don't have it to show you guys. And then, let's see, we've got... You're not going to show them what it is until you're done, are you?
Nope.
Oh, alright.
I mean, they'll figure it out once I get this section done.
Yeah, I suppose so.
In fact, you might already be able to guess because of the green and the gold.
The green and the gold is a pretty huge hint.
It's pretty huge.
Pretty huge.
Anyways.
For our tea today,
yes.
we've got our vanilla black tea, which we've had before. I got it. It was a gift from a friend, but I think she got it at the farmer's market. I think she got it at DeKalb farmer's market. So it's nice. Very nice. And we've got cookies from our German bakery. It's a pub too, actually. Which is near our house. Got little Christmas cookies with sprinkles. So yes, it's cold. It's cold here. And tomorrow's supposed to be really cold, which is...
Yeah, it's going to be down in the 70s.
It's going to be in the 20s, which for Georgia is pretty dang cold. Yeah, I know people live... Look, I went to school in New Hampshire. I understand. Oh, 20 degrees. Oh, no, I get it. I've had my fair share of very cold winters. I went to the University of New Hampshire. I know things. Anyway, I think another thing I was trying to explain before our audio decided that it wasn't going to work. Before we realized, I should say, that the audio wasn't working. I did not get a chance to read Summer Night for the second time. I have read it before, but I didn't read it for this week. I'm sorry about that, but it's December and there are quarterly meetings going on at my bank, so I've been very preoccupied, and unfortunately, that's where I read. I read at work. It's usually quiet. But anywho, so Paul's mostly going to talk about it, and as I remember things, I'll add in my 2 cents. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah. So this book introduces a lot more of the Fae court.
Yeah.
The queens. Both the Winter Queen and the Summer Queen, as well as the 2 ladies and the 2 mothers.
And their respective knights.
And their knights, which are mortals.
Yes. Usually.
So, yeah. So, I really enjoy the extra lore we get in this one. With the idea of the ladies and the mothers. The mothers were my favorite.
Yes, I do remember the mothers, and I must say, from what I remember, I do like the mothers. I think it's cool how they have their... I think it's cool how they live together.
Yes.
And they're... I'm trying to remember. But they're not like the queens and the ladies and the knights, who are kind of more... Not at each other's throats, but there's the whole, ooh, I'm for tech and they're for UGA, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I did think the mothers were interesting. It's a little... It's difficult to tell, like, what's going on with that particular Fae lore, because, like, in Patricia Briggs, there are fairy queens that get mentioned every once in a while, but there's no...
But they're not actually, like, queens of the fairies.
Right. It's more... They're Fae of the higher court. They have particular power. Some of their power extends to being able to get people to do what they want and robbing individuals of their will. Whereas these guys are more captains of their respective teams, as I say. But what's kind of annoying from my perspective is I remember back when we first read this book and we got interested in it and we decided to do a little research on stuff like that, only to discover that Mab and Titania and the idea of, Queen Mab and Queen Titania and this kind of
That's
stuff
Shakespeare.
Came from Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah.
Which in the name itself, denotes it is a dream.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of disappointing to think that, well, these weren't Fae that in lore ever existed.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh.
And yeah, also in lore, or in real lore, if that makes sense. In real mythology, you have the Tuatha De Danann and all those, and there's a lot of triple things going on. And I think the idea of the maiden, the
maiden, the crone, and the
maiden, the mother, and the crone
mother. There we go.
Came from there, but it's not as dualism as winter versus summer.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have the Aishi and the other side, which are kind of seen as like the good fairies and the more trickstery fairies, or like
the way
somewhat evil fairies, because I think banshees. Banshees.
He's Irish, so he gets to make up the pronunciation.
Well, no, the actual pronunciation would be banshee.
Right, that's why.
But yeah.
Because you opened with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think they're considered part of those evil fae, even though all they are is just women who wail when somebody's husband dies in battle and will never return home.
At sea, yeah.
So it's bad. It's a bringing of sadness, but it's not like they themselves
are bringers
did
of death
any of the D&D banshee things.
Well, and I did read a couple of chapters into the book, and Dresden does go to say that the winter fae aren't really evil. They're just physical constructs of everything that encompasses winter. They're cold. They're beautiful. They're not very warming. Whereas the summer fae are supposed to be like wise and kind and that kind of stuff, and more warm. In terms of personality, you can be cold or you can be warm towards people. So I think that's more what it's like. But yeah, there's definitely, in the Dresden Files, there's definitely more of a, well, if you have to sit down and have tea with somebody, you'd rather have tea with someone from the summer court, because they're less likely to do something horrible to you. I was trying to give an example, and I'm like, I can't really think of one. But, because I remember the Winter Lady, I think our introduction to her, Maeve or Mauve, or however her name is pronounced, she, there's a musician who's playing.
Yes.
And he dies because he wanted to play.
Well, because he said, apparently at some point in the past, he had apparently looked at someone or somebody playing, and he said something to the effect of like, I would die to play that good.
Yeah.
And then Maeve made it so. Yeah. Made him play so good, but without stop, so that
he never took a breath.
He basically had a heart attack. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's, they find it so funny. Mortals are hilarious. Oh God, aren't they so funny? They're so short-lived. Yeah, I don't like the Fae. Especially this book. I mean, in Mercy Thompson, they certainly make no. It's not like the Fae are nicer in Mercy Thompson. No. They're not. The Fae have their reputation of being ones that you do not want to mess with, which is fair. And they do the same thing in Dresden. But I think because in Dresden, in this book and in books to come, we often focus on the Winter Fae. So they're just particularly not nice. You really don't want. Now, later on, we figure out why Mab is doing all the things that she's doing, and it's not. I mean, you're kind of looking at her like, well, yes, good, keep doing that, but at the same time, like that.
We also get introduced to the Wild Fae, barely, just the fact that Wild Fae exist.
Okay.
Which is interesting for later, and the fact that Toot Toot, which we met previously, who is now 6 inches tall.
Oh, is he already starting to get bigger?
Yeah.
Well, this is important. Save that for later.
So, that was almost a big mess.
Spilled my tea.
But yeah, Toot Toot is unaligned with the 2 quartz, so he technically counts as a wild fae.
Alright. You guys, just like, bear with me for a second. Here, I'm just getting your face here. Alright.
And he now has like a little small army.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious when we get introduced to them, because they don't know words like corporal or sergeant or whatnot. So they make up their closest words that they can think of. I don't know if I can find it fast enough.
Are we introduced to, let's see. I can't, see, this is the problem with having not read the dang book. Are we introduced to any other of the knights in this book. Is Michael in this book or any of his buds?
No.
Okay.
No, Michael's not in here. We get Murphy for a short period. In the beginning, she's still dealing with basically PTSD off of the last book, where monster imitated Dresden and then got in and did psychological damage to her. So she's still dealing with that. And then later, when Dresden's really far in trouble, he goes to talk to her and gives her a warning that she will never not know these things and that puts her in danger. But she accepts, and he tells her basically everything going on with the other side of the veil, as it were. So the White Council and everything.
What?
So now she knows everything, and they did this in a Walmart, and then they got attacked.
I remember that part.
So we get a very fun scene where Murphy kicks butt, and Dresden barely scrapes through.
Didn't you have like a shot-off shotgun in this one?
No.
Ah, it's not till later. All right.
But at some point in the fight, they did go in and get a chainsaw.
Oh, yeah.
So Murphy was wielding a chainsaw on the Chloro Fiend.
I do remember this scene, and I wasn't sure if it was this book or not, which makes me really want to go ahead and finish the book. I'm just trying to find time. Oh. The unfortunate thing is that I'm not being very organized right now. And what I mean is that I started reading the Harry Potter series again. Don't ask me how many times I've read the Harry Potter series. I really couldn't tell you. And, you know, and Paul was like rolling his eyes about that. And I was like, baby, it's a Harry Potter series. I can read it in a week. And he's like, well, yes, that's true. You know, they're kids' books. Yeah, you can read them in a week. Problem is I have Christmas is coming. There are things to do. There are things to do at work, and my reading has fallen by the wayside. I'm only about halfway through the 5th book. And the problem is that a lot of stuff happens in the 5th book that kind of got, in my memories, jumbled up with the 6th. So I thought, okay, no, it's no problem. I will finish the 5th book, and I'll start on this book, and everything will be fine. And then I went to work, and all of my executives, and when I say all of my executives, all of a sudden I have 3 executives that I'm under now because there's been a changing of the guard, as it were, at my bank. So now I'm like, okay, I have all of these projects that I need to get done, and that's essentially why everything fell by the wayside. But I do still want to read the books, and I don't have OCD in that it's a debilitating OCD in any manner, but I have started, and I'm 4 chapters in. And unless I really do not like the book, because I did this with Twilight, I started reading it, and then I stopped, because I was like, because it's Twilight. I do like the book, so I will have to finish it at one point, because I can't leave a book unfinished. Again, except Twilight. I didn't finish that. There's no reason yet. But I do remember that scene. I don't remember why they're at Walmart, but I do remember them being there.
Dresden just asked Murphy for a somewhat public place that still had privacy. And she said, I think I know a place. So they went to a Walmart in the middle of the night. So there were still people around. But
okay.
Yeah, so we get a fight with the Chloro Fiend.
I vaguely remember the Chloro Fiend. I remember the fight more. Didn't somebody spill some marbles?
Dresden did, and Murphy basically sprained her ankle on them.
Yeah, that's right, because Dresden's an idiot.
Yeah. But yeah, so going back to Toot Toot. So he has a little army, and so Toot Toot turns to his captain and he says, "Caption, report." And then the captain turns to the next person. Lou Tender reports.
Lou Tender.
And then he says, Star Jump report. And
Star
then
Jump.
Corpse Oral and First Class Privy. And then finally to Second Class Privy. So yeah, they don't know exactly what those terms mean, but they're trying in their own miniature fairy type ways. And they have little fake armor and whatnot, and it's cute. And then later in the book...
Well, it's not fake armor. It's it's like they're wearing trash. You know? Yeah. They're wearing like bottle cap, helmets and stuff. Bottle cap, helmet and whatnot. The plastic bottle cap. Well, of course.
Not a good, metal one. That would be useful.
But it's Toot.
I know. But
Toot is adorable.
Later, there's a big fight, and I'm assuming you've read the book. So there's a big fight in the clouds with all the Fae, and Dresden has Toot and his gang, his little miniature army, in a bag, and shoots him out, and he has armed them all with little box cutters. And of course, Fae can't stand the touch of iron.
Cold metal, yeah.
So all the little tiny blades, even though it's, the weakest of all fairies, they're doing serious damage.
Because they're fast and they're small.
And I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, I think like Dresden helps him out at the end, but they take out one of the ladies.
The Winter Lady or the Summer Lady?
The Summer Lady. The big bad.
Yes, the Summer Lady is the big bad.
Yeah.
Sort of her cohort is the Winter Knight. I can't talk.
Yeah.
Shut up.
So yeah, we learned that Maeve picked the Winter Knight, who is a horrible drugged up person. Mm-hmm. And Maeve definitely puts on an act of being a sultry teenage Super Fox. Or whatever that comic was. Which was bad. So there's that. So yeah, there's a lot of drama llamas happening in the world of the Fae. But yeah, so the Summer Lady's plan was to completely unbalance the powers, so winter took over, which would, having destroyed the power, end the cycle of seasons, basically. End the cycle of fighting. Which is crazy.
Well, I mean...
As Dresden points out.
Yeah, you could... I mean, the way that you made it sound like, end the cycle of fighting, it's like, well, I suppose that's noble. You don't want people to fight anymore, but at the same time, the Earth can't really survive if they're not doing their thing.
Yeah.
The way it's described here.
Right.
Obviously, in Hawaii, it doesn't really matter, but in Chicago, obviously, it matters.
Yeah.
Windy city and all that.
Yeah, so we have the fight. We get Billy and the gang again. They're doing well. Ooh.
I did actually make a few notes on some of the chapters that I did read. Crap. So, I do like Billy. I like Billy, and I kind of miss him. Like, when we first open the book, and he's there, and he's just trying to help Dresden. All he wants Dresden to do is just to not kill himself, forgetting to eat, forgetting to work, forgetting to shower, and a lot of things that, SCAD students do at the end of the quarter. And he's just trying to be a friend. And he reminded me actually a little bit of Patricia Briggs' werewolves and the way that they act. But oh no. Stitch.
Triple 367.
You have a crochet hook, baby? I need a crochet. I've dropped a stitch. I gotta pick it up. Usually I have my box.
Will this one work?
Yes, that'll work fine. Thank you. But I'm actually working on a crochet project, which maybe you guys will see next week. Because I'm knitting. Obviously, I have a little bit of experience with that. But crochet is not really something I've done that much. My mother-in-law did teach me, which is great because at least she's right-handed. My mom taught me how to knit. She's left-handed, and I've been told I knit weird by other people. So, but I am starting on a crochet project that we'll see how I get along with that. So maybe next week I'll show that off.
367, yeah.
But I forgot what I was saying. Oh, so I do like Billy. And I like that he's, trying to actually be a friend.
Yep.
And trying to help Dresden. And you left out a character that we meet. We meet Ebenezer McCoy.
We do.
Which you're not going to think is very significant right now. But you will later.
Yeah. He's basically like a father figure to Dresden, having raised him.
after the whole Justin incident.
Yes.
Which we still haven't gotten out. We didn't get more specifics in this book, did we?
We did. Well, somewhat more specifics because we got Elaine.
Elaine showed back up in this one?
Yes.
Oh, see, I forgot that was this one.
Yeah.
I forgot that was this
one.
So
we learned that
Elaine back. Yay!
We learned that Elaine was controlled and enthralled by Justin, which is why she held Dresden down. Mm-hmm. And she was, because in the beginning of book, Dresden was chosen as Winter's emissary. And it turned out that Elaine was chosen for Summer's emissary for those reasons. So they're against each other, and she had to basically trap Harry again. I'm
sure that didn't lead to any psychological recourse at all.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, except she said it's just like old times. And once Harry started thinking, which, isn't the most common thing.
He's not very good at that.
But then he realized what she meant, because she used the exact same binding that he escaped before. So he was able to escape and then save the day.
Yeah.
Like he does. So yeah, we get her. And yeah, we get to see a lot of the White Council.
Okay. Yeah, we get...
No, not many flashbacks to Justin.
Okay, so here's my question.
Yes.
In this book, do we get pretty much the whole story? So we know what happened with Justin? Okay.
What we get is, at some point, Justin sent a demon after Harry. When Harry went back, he got jumped by Justin and Elaine. Elaine put a binding on him so he could not escape, and Justin started trying to control Harry's mind, do all that workings, but because Elaine and Harry were distracted in their youth, they split up their magical homework by one person doing the research and the idea of it, and then the other person doing the magical aspect of it to make it actually work. So they worked together on their projects. So the binding was something that Harry came up with, and he's stupid. So basically it was like a pocket of solid air around you, all bound in a neat bow at the small of your back, but it's super fragile because all you have to do is kind of, with your magic, tap on that point in the small of your back, and the whole thing shatters. But yeah, so then we get that. We already knew... I don't know if it was this book or not, but we knew that he had set Justin and the entire house with Elaine in it on fire.
And he thought Elaine was dead.
Yes. But we learned that when Justin and Harry were dueling, Elaine was able to break her...
break
the mental control and escape and run away, and she basically hid with the summer court for many, many years. Which is why she was bound to them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. See, I don't remember these things.
Nope.
Ow. Ow. Ow, my back. Ow. Okay.
I don't think so.
But we do get to meet Ebenezer, which he's so after all of that stuff with Justin and whatnot, Harry's still a teenager, so they're White Council's well, okay,
since we're not actually going to kill him.
Yeah, it's okay, self-defense, fine, whatever. You're still a minor. Someone needs to take care of you. We're going to give you to this old guy. Here, old guy, you take care of him.
Yep.
That's not quite how it happens. We'll come back to it, though. A couple of books down the line, we'll come back to it.
It was mentioned by Ebenezer that the one time he didn't go to a council meeting is when he got stuck with
smart mouth.
Yes. With Harry.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
That's fun. But there is a reason.
Well, of course. There's reason for everything.
We'll come back to it later in another book.
Yes. But yeah, it's a pretty standard
whodunit.
Well, a pretty standard Harry Dresden book. He just kind of fumbles around until he accidentally figures out what's going on.
Yep. That's kind of what I find a little annoying, because what I was trying to say earlier, and I keep getting lost in my thoughts, and I'm sorry about that, guys, but it's that I keep finding these books... as much as I super enjoyed them, the first read through, when I first read them way back, a couple years ago, whenever, it's hard to get into them now.
Mm.
And I think what's going on is that I've been reading so many other books with not horrible main characters that it's difficult to care about what's going on with Harry, because he's not the most likable guy. Now, as the books progress, I won't say that it gets more likable, but things that are happening, you just get to the point where you're like, well, oh my god, what's going to happen now? Kind of thing. So you get a little bit maybe more invested in the story.
Yeah.
And we get a few more characters here and there. I know we've already got a big cast. The cast will continue to grow. But you're going to get more interested in what's going on with each of the cast members as things progress. So that'll be more interesting. But right now, I find it just difficult to get, the first thing in the first chapter, we've got Billy, who's trying to be a pal. He's trying to be a nice guy. He's trying to help out Dresden and everything. And Dresden's just kind of he's mean.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm a grumpy old wizard. I'm like, well, stop it! Stop fueling the stereotype. Try being a not grumpy old wizard, okay? Can you try that? You're not even old yet. So, for me, it's been a little difficult trying to get into this book. But before we go on to the next one, which I can't remember the name of the one after Summer Night, but before we go on to that one, I will make sure I read Summer Night so that I catch up and I know what's going on. Because the books definitely blur together. And, I mean, the titles of the books are obviously puns. Summer Night. The Summer Night was the guy who got killed. So, it's a pun. But that's why I thought that Grave Peril, because it had to do with graves, I thought that was the same thing as Deadbeat.
Yeah.
Which, when we get to Deadbeat, you'll realize, oh, well, how could you possibly have mixed those up, Catherine? It's so obvious.
It's right in the title, yeah.
It's right in the button. And I'm like, yeah, but they blur together.
Yeah.
They blur together. And you can't remember when certain events happen, which are very important. And then we continue onward. But anyway, so I will read it later. What are we reading next week? I don't even know. What's the schedule?
Next, Hitchhikers.
What's the next Hitchhikers? So Long and Thanks for All the Fish?
Quite possibly. I can look that up.
The book is over there.
Yes.
On top of the thing.
Oh, but
and then at some point, Ancillary Sword.
Yeah, I kind of made a upcoming list. We have Dresden. We're going to have the next Hitchhiker's guide. Then we'll have the next Ancillary. And then the next Myth. And then a surprise one.
As in, you're surprising me?
No.
Okay.
As in, it'll be one of those third books, like how we did iRobot.
Oh, a standalone.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm just like, what?
You know
what we should do? Because it's so much fun, and it's a really, really great book, The Martian. It's a lot of fun. You should read The Martian. The Martian is so good. I've read it 3 times.
Well, I think I'm planning to do one of the books that my mom may or may not have already shipped out.
Oh, that's right.
Because she's, in theory, shipping out a box of books to me, including things that she thinks I would enjoy, and then things that she didn't like.
Thanks.
But she thinks is up my alley.
All right, well, we'll give him a roll. The problem is this. Is we were, Paul went downstairs to get this, and he was like, "Oh, where's Hitchhiker's Guide?" And I had to put it in a weird place because we only have 2 bookshelves of any magnitude down in our den, and we need more shelving. We have a lot of books. Here's the problem: is that Paul used to work at a library, and I used to work at a bookstore. So we really like books, you see, and we have a lot. Actually, we did get rid of quite a few before we moved from our apartment here. We got rid of like our school books and other things like that. It looks like Life, the Universe, and Everything is next.
Right. Oh, yes.
Yeah, because we read The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. So Life, the Universe, and Everything. And then So Long and Thank for All.
That makes sense, so because...
Fish. And Zaphod Plays It Safe and Mostly Harmless.
I think Zaphod Plays It Safe is a little tiny short story, which we may skip.
All right.
Or just kind of half mention.
Yeah.
We'll see when we get there.
I'm just putting the bookmark.
But yeah.
Where it needs.
So we mentioned Shakespeare. My mom commented that, yes, because you didn't read the last page. I did. But yes, they do credit William Shakespeare. Old Billy Shakespeare on the last page. Billy the Werewolf was talking about how all of these fairy courts and all of this, and there was no quotations of Shakespeare, and he was just so disappointed. So I think the very last line, I don't know my Shakespeare, but...
all those fairies and duels and mad queens and so on, and no one quoted old Billy Shakespeare, not even once. I stared at Billy for a moment and started to laugh. My own aches and bruises and cuts, wounds pained me, but it was an honest, stretchy pain, something that was healing. I got myself some dice and paper and some pencils and settled down with folks to pretend to be Thor the Barbarian, to eat, drink, and be married. Lord, what fools these mortals be.
Yeah.
It is true.
So yeah, this book, I don't think was one of the epics of this series. And again, we keep saying they get better. and I do believe they do.
They really do. But what gets better is, like I said, is the characters.
Yeah.
Is we get old characters and new characters, and we get really fun characters. Like, we're going to get a character who's essentially an assassin later on, and all kinds of fun. I love that guy. He's just, he is a gentleman. He's a businessman, and he is a gentleman, and I love him. Absolutely love him. And the person that he's guarding is also pretty awesome sauce.
Yes.
And a kind of creepy, but, you know.
Yeah. And now that Murphy actually knows what's all going on, she starts becoming a lot more useful.
Yes. And not so and not so suspicious. You know, like, maybe he's doing it. It's like, well, yes, maybe. On the other hand, there is actually a vampire running around. Yeah. You know? So yes, now that she's...
So yeah, I would definitely call this a standard Dresden Files book. I don't really have too much to talk about. It was just, you know, a standard Dresden Files book. He goes, he's stupid, he finds or stumbles upon clues, he gets helped out of some places, and then he saves the day. Not too much above and beyond, except, like I said before, the things I like are the lore. The idea of the various fairy queens, the idea of the wild fae.
Yeah, the world building is a lot of fun, especially actually where the fae are concerned. And there will be a book down the line, I know, where we talk even more about the fae. And there's a character. I don't know if I want to spoil it.
No spoilers.
Okay, no spoilers. But there's a really fun character that I really, really like. And the thing is, though, is we only get to see him like maybe once or twice. But when we do see him, we're like, yay, that's so much fun. I think he's fun.
Yes. Yes.
Ow.
But yeah, so that's this book. They will get better, surely.
They will get better. Well, okay, so Paul was finishing the book last night and a little this morning, and he laughed out loud at one of these particular points in the book, and it was very funny for me. I don't know if that's the funniest part for you in this book, but for me that was pretty hilarious. It's when he grabs something from the summer lady.
Oh yes.
And then sticks his tongue out at her and says "boop boop" and runs away.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yay, run. So I thought that was absolutely hilarious. But are there any other super funny bits that you want to talk about?
Nah, I can't think of it.
No, you can't think of it.
I did somewhat enjoy the scene with the mothers. Mm-hmm. They will make a reappearance, which I like more. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't like the ladies too much.
No, you're not really meant to.
No. And then we do see a scene, and it's not funny, but we do see a scene where Harry uses his sights to look, or his sight, to look both in the winter and summer directions, and he sees that the queens, Mab and Titania, aren't really personas, but they're kind of like elemental forces. Mm-hmm. And that's a really fun scene, just him
seeing what they are.
Having his mind blown.
Yeah. Literally. Poor guy.
Yeah. We get Lan and Shi again. Leia.
Of course we do.
She's the one that guided him. Nice. And they're being much more civil. And it's actually kind of a positive movement, because she sold his debt to her to Queen Mab, which is what got him in all this shenanigans in the first place. So now that she doesn't have rights over Dresden, they can be much more civil together. He still mistrusts her, obviously, because he's smart sometimes. But yeah, no, that's fun. She's actually kind of developing as a character a bit more, so that's good.
And she comes back later, of course. Yeah. She is a member of the Winter Fae, yep. So she's declared herself as such. I guess what kind of annoys me a little bit about these books is that when there's a big bad to deal with, so far, this will change, but so far, they've all, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they've all been women.
No.
I mean, the last book, okay, it was
well,
demon
oh yeah,
dude.
so far.
It's just, but like...
Yeah, last book we had Kravos, mm-hmm. which was a dude.
But when there are women of power around, they're always very beautiful. They're always very beautiful and very deadly and all this stuff, and it's kind of like... Murphy's kind of the only unique female character, I guess you could say. Again, later we'll get some more, but there's definitely all of the women that Dresden has to deal with are very, very sexy.
And he definitely goes, or the author definitely goes in with Dresden's voice and talks about how sexy they are.
Right, like when Mab leaves his office and he's like, nobody ever told me that the Queen of the Winter Fae has a nice ass. I'm just saying, I notice things. I'm like, yeah. It's like, okay, we get it, you're a dude. Understood. Yeah. And it is a little annoying.
Yep.
But I mean, I can't. I'm trying to think of a good. Besides Murphy, I'm trying to think of a good positive female character who's not, just dripping with sensuality of sensualness.
Or wishing she was.
Like
Dresden's eventual apprentice.
Oh well, but then things happen with her anyway. So it's like, Murphy's the only one that kind of works. In my opinion. I like Murphy. Murphy's great.
Well, yeah, there was some making them sexier of the werewolves, which,
but that kind of
as far as that goes, it makes sense. Like, it was a group of nerdy teenagers,
late teens, they were in college.
Late teens, college students, who weren't in the best of shape, but over the past couple of years of having become werewolves and going out and doing their own adventures and fighting the evils that Harry doesn't get involved in.
Yeah.
They've all super toned.
Yeah, they've gotten
like
shape.
You would.
Yeah.
When that's your main job.
And they probably, just go for runs on weekends. That's gonna help. But yeah, so they all have, and there's one in particular who I remember, and I remember who she ends up with, and that's kind of fun. But it's also kind of annoying though, because it's like, the nerdy dude gets the hot girl, and the butter, and the redhead.
But anyways,
I'm trying to mumble so you guys don't know what I'm talking
about. Are you talking about the one who started off slightly more plump, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently, now that she's toned, one of the others basically rolls her eyes when Harry's putting magic over their eyelids and says, like...
Oh, she's been like that since she's gotten... Because she's kind of flounces up. She's totally naked, you know. She's like, oh, I'm amazing. And Harry's like, yeah.
Yeah, because they're all kids in his eyes.
Well, of course
which is good. As much as Harry, and of course the author through Harry's voice, talks about...
Talk about women
girls and their looks and physical appearances. It's described that he's not interested in younger girls that are way too young for him.
Right.
But they still get descriptions.
They do. They still get descriptions. I mean, but not so much his apprentice later.
Yeah.
As I recall, they only...
Well, even these werewolves, they get some descriptions of their physical makeups.
Your mom is trying to text you.
Oh, the troll changeling isn't strictly sexy. She was actually described as homely.
I forgot that she was in this one. I thought she was, but you didn't talk about her, and so I was like, well, I don't want to spoil things if there's another fight. Is this the only fight in the sky we get with the two clans going at it? Because I just can't remember. I remember this fight.
I think so.
Okay, see, I didn't think that was this book. I thought that was the book later on.
But yeah, so Meryl is a half troll, half human.
Yeah.
And with all the changelings in this series, they basically have to choose whether it be fully mortal or to join one of the courts and be fully fae. Right. So in the final scene...
She makes a choice.
She makes a choice to save the day, becomes fully troll, and then she dies. So, yeah she's not sexy, but then again, you know, she gets killed off almost immediately. Or in the first book she's introduced, so, you know, there's that too. Whereas the overly sexy member of that group of changelings, who models for art and all that, she ended up becoming the next queen.
The next queen or the next lady?
The next lady.
The next lady. Yeah, she typed...
yeah, because technically
the
lady, the queen, and the mother are all queens. And then to keep it simple, they're called lady, queen, and mother. So I used terminology that was technically correct but confusing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, she becomes the next lady. So it's like, okay, so the ugly one sacrifices herself...
For the pretty one.
For the pretty one, who then gets all the power. Yeah. Good job. I mean, it's not as bad as some of the books we've read with how...
Yes, it's not, but at the same time, it's just kind of like...
It's a constant thing.
It's a constant thing, which is why I like Mercy Thompson. There's only one female werewolf who's noted to be... In one book, she's literally called Werewolf Eye Candy. But she's just one. And she don't even
Is that Honey?
It. Yeah, it's Honey.
Yeah.
And she beat the crap out of
she has enough extra personality around her. Once you actually start getting once Mercy starts getting to know her, then there's a lot of personality behind it.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny, because it's like, oh, I'm so prim and everything. No, she ain't.
Yeah, she's one of the more powerful ones.
She is. They're going through the pecking order. It's like, well, if you want to do that, it's these three dudes, and then it's Honey. And then everything. Yeah,
we need to get into that series. Maybe...
Because this is what I will...
Either after Myth or after Dresden. Because that's going to be another long series. I know. We can't keep adding long series because we'll never get through anything.
Oh, I know. I'm just like... we need to finish... Yeah. Okay. How many myth books are there?
A limited amount because he's dead. I think there's like about a dozen and a half or so. Okay. Maybe a dozen.
We don't have all of them, do we?
No.
No, I didn't think so.
I think we're only missing like 4 or 5. If that. But yes, so we've gone on...
We've gone on about an hour, not including our audio issues. He's IT.
Hey.
What?
But yes, so... I didn't actually think we would be able to get enough to talk about this book, and we did get off topic a few times, which was good, because I thought there was going to be a half-hour episode, because, as I said, standard Dresden book. Mm-hmm. It's not one of the most epic ones. So.
We don't get to... This is not one of the ones where we get to learn anything. which is why it kind of passed out of my memory a little bit. Because there are a few of the books where individual things will happen. And you'll go, oh my god! There's this and that with the dude. And you're like, oh my god, okay, here's the connection, here's why all of this crap, and it falls into place, and you're like, I see. And then that starts to get you thinking, well, wait, what about this? And then, and then that gets answered later on. So, yeah, so this is one of the books where we don't get a significant event, is what I'll call them. We don't get significant events. Yeah. So, just like an episode of, like, Sand Through the Days of Our Lives, not a lot of plot really went through. Except for Murphy getting a little bit more knowledge, and Lianqi transferring her debt to Matt. Yeah. But that's kind of it. And the introduction of Mab and the others. Yes. Which become very important to Dresden's life. Yeah, because the deal that was made was that Dresden has to do 3 tasks for Mab. And that's 1. In order to become free. And that's 1. So there's 2 more. Of course, at the end of this one... I actually don't even remember where we're at, like, currently with those tasks. Because I don't remember if... was the last one. I will inform you after we... after we sign off. Won't spoil anyone. But yeah, so that's this book. Next time... we're doing Hitchhikers. We're doing Hitchhikers, then we're doing another Ancillary, so 2 weeks of sci-fi, which should be interesting for anybody who is less into Dresden or... okay, so don't eat that. So next week, what is the date next week? I don't know. What's the date today? Today is the 9th. So the 16th. So it's the 16th, so that should be fine. We'll see. But the one after that is the 23rd. So, I mean, 4 to 5. Oh, that's true. We should be fine. But that, so the 23rds might get shifted. We might end up maybe doing it earlier in the day. Depending on what's going on. Because, hey, the next day is Christmas Eve, and then we got Christmas. And I've got a brother with little kids, so whenever he's having us over, it's always an early dinner. So true. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on the 23rd. Yeah, and that Ancillary book is a faster read than the first one. First one you had to really figure out... what was going on? What was going on, what was, how... Is it a dude? Is it a woman? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, okay. Okay, yeah. Figure out how the pronouns worked in the main character's mind. They don't. But, yeah, the second one goes much more smoothly. Okay. And then, what did I say? We're doing another myth book after that. Okay, so we got Adams, we got Lecky, we got Aspirin. We need aspirin. Oh, no. I don't have any. I have a leaf. And then a surprise. And then, yeah, a surprise, which on my mother sent a list of well-written... First book we get, we're going to close our eyes, we're going to stick our hand in the box, and we're just going to pull out a book, and that'll be it. No. No, she sent a comprehensive list of a series of... unfortunate events? Yes. Female sci-fi writers. And explained why she felt they were, that each one was significant in their own ways. And there's one I was really curious about, and I think I want to make that whatever that book is. I don't know if they said something. And of course, yeah, Mom says Elaines are always important. Well, yes. Because of that. Yes. Yes. I know. It's just good that no one in your family is named Harry. That'd be funny. That'd be weird. It would be weird. Your middle name's Henry, though. I call you Hank. Hank. Yes. Your middle name's not Henry. Yes, it is. Wait a minute. Yeah, Paul Henry. I don't know why I was blanking. Should you not be giving... I was so blanking. For a moment, I thought your middle name was William, and I was like, there's a significance in William, but that's your dad.
summoned by your own risk.
Anywho. Thank you for joining us for summer night on this very cold, wintry evening.
Yes. But yeah, next couple weeks are going to be much better. And then I don't remember what the next Dresden book is. So
Iron Man and Captain America are having a water fight.
It's true.
It's so cute and chibi. It's so cute.
Yep. Yeah, I don't remember what the next Dresden book is. I don't think it says in there.
Sure it does. Death Masks. Uh-oh.
Oh, okay.
And then Blood Rights.
I don't remember that one.
Well, no, that's not. That's where. That's the one where Susan comes back.
I see.
Susan comes back.
But yeah, Death Masks, I think, is a really good one.
Yes.
We get more characters, like we do, like we have in every book so far.
Just keep adding to the cast list.
And these characters get really fun. And then we, of course, get Murphy and all that. So yeah, the next Dresden book, I think, is going to be much better than the one we just did. And
I don't remember Blood Rights, but I remember Deadbeat. Deadbeat's the one with Sue. That one's really good.
It is good.
It's so funny. And we get Butters. I really like Butters.
Yes. So yes, they will get better.
They will get better. And they get more numerous. And you know what? I was online the other night, and it looks like we might be getting a release date for Peace Talks, which is the 16th book in this series. We might be getting a release date maybe next year, so late 2018. We'll get a release date. Hopefully the release date will be in 2019. Early. Cross your fingers. But if you're on Mercy Thompson, there will be a new Alpha and Omega March of 2018. Yeah. So she's pretty good. She's pretty good about a yearly schedule, Patricia Briggs. Yeah. Usually it's, Alpha Omega, Mercy Thompson, Alpha Omega. Yeah. She's doing it in a pattern now. Dead Heat was so good, man. Sorry, I just finished reading that one. It's really good. Right.
Yeah, and we will start adding Mercy Thompson to our list at some point.
We will, but you're right. We've got to finish one of these longer series first.
Yeah, and it's not going to be One Piece that we finish.
You're right. That's what I was about to say. I was like, can't do One Piece because holy gosh.
I think we're going to finish Myth the soonest, and that's assuming we actually go through all the Myth books.
Because we're getting closer and closer to books that were not written by Robert Asprin exclusively, but were partnered with Robert Asprin and
Jodi Lynn Nye.
Jodi, yeah.
Which again, I like her writing, but I don't know. There was one that was getting silly, like Myth Taken Identities, which if you've watched us and you know the Myth series has credit cards, and it's like
a bad credit card. I'll kill you. Sorry.
Which is weird. I mean, I know it makes sense because we have all these technological things, and Oz is always talking about what we consider modern things. But yeah, when we get a credit card in the Myth series, it just kind of breaks it for me.
Yeah,
but
that's weird.
We'll see. There's some really good Myth books coming up that I absolutely love. But that's going to be in a while.
Okay, so next week is Hitchhikers. Cool.
Yes, Life, the Universe, and Everything. Because right now, Arthur and Ford are stuck on prehistoric Earth.
Yep. I don't know where Zaphod and
Trinity
went.
Got off to.
Trillion.
Trinity
is from a different series altogether.
Yes.
She's okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you for joining us. We apologize for our earlier audio snafu if you were online and just watching us as we were talking and you weren't hearing nothing. I got a couple of rows in. Yay! Black and white.
I am still on the same row, just finishing off the second half of the stitches because unlike this hashtag urine at all bookmark, I'm gonna just hey. Which was all a basket weave stitch, so you go from one corner to the other and then that square is done. I'm actually doing cross stitch with this, which is one corner to the other, and then you come back the third corner to the fourth corner. For those of you who are watching this and are not cross stitchers,
So your dad.
My dad. It makes a cross, you see, Dad, and that is why we call it a cross. Okay. Yes. So I barely got through. This project is going to take me forever. So welcome to season 2 of Spin a Yarn Live.
Going by his projects now. Then.
Yeah.
Now his projects will denote the seasons.
Yes.
Okay.
This will be a 3-year season. Ideally, I will work on this outside the...
One would hope. Because, yeah, that was one of the reasons he took him so long to finish the bookmark. Was because he only worked on it while we were here.
Yeah.
And, of course, he wasn't always working on it. You know, sometimes he's eating tea or whatever, or, you know, even I'm not knitting right now. Yeah, just chatting, whatnot. But anyway, we're at the 1 hour mark, you guys. So, we're going to leave it there. I think I'm going to go watch another Indiana Jones movie, because we just watched Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I forgot how much fun those movies are.
Especially Kingdom of Crystal Skull. No. I have not seen it.
Good. Remain innocent. My sister and I saw it.
Oh, no.
Let me just give you a little idea before we sign off. So, my sister majored in biology and has like a master's in some very technical field of biology. And my first degree was in chemistry. And she and I both took physics for fun because we thought it was just a fun subject to just play with. So when we got to the scene with the infamous refrigerator, she and I but we both wear glasses, right? So at the same time, she and I both went, we were just like, that is not how that works! That's not how that works! We got very upset.
Yeah.
But anyway. So you don't have to watch it, laptop.
Oh, I won't.
Don't do it.
I won't. I don't care about the Indiana Jones world as much. I mean, maybe...
It's a fun series, I think. I really like, especially Raiders of... The Last Crusade. The Last Crusade is a lot of fun. I'm gonna go watch that.
Yeah. I mean, if they turned it into, like... an adventurous version of Warehouse 13.
It is Warehouse 13. Okay, so in Raiders of the Lost Ark, if you guys watch Warehouse 13, which you should, because it's so good. I just got the whole box set. I bought myself a Christmas present. So, at the very end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, of course, there's that iconic scene where they boxed up the Ark and they're just putting it in this warehouse where all of these other identical boxes are. And I'm looking at it and I go, there it is! There's Warehouse 13, because you can't not see the inspiration. Yeah. I mean, clearly the writers and creators of Warehouse 13 just took the idea of, okay, well, if that's where they're keeping the Ark and they're keeping all this other stuff in this warehouse, what is the stuff? So it's a really, really fun series.
But the only difference is Warehouse 13 is a lot more of investigatory...
It is.
Authority figure, whereas Indiana Jones is more adventure and dungeon crawling.
Right, and that's true. But still, when I saw that final scene, I was reminded of Warehouse 13. I'm like, here it is. Here's the inspiration. It's so good.
Okay.
All right, let's wrap it up because I can go on.
But now about this book. No. Okay. So until next time, have a good one. I don't remember how we normally close this. I'm getting sneezed.
We're going to close it with Paul sneezing.